Hello sewers! I have a new pattern to show you today. I've just completed this dress. A 50s sundress with a very wide collar and a slanted pocket. I bought this pattern in an antique shop and it's a size 32 bust. And I'm a size 52 bust. So what I wanted to talk about was whenever you have a pattern that is so much smaller than your size, there are a few things that you want to keep in mind. Because the pattern is drafted for a person who is much more petite, the necklines and collars are going to need changed for you because your distance between like your mid-chest and your shoulder point is longer, and your distance between your center and your shoulder is longer. So here's my pattern piece for the front. Here's their pattern piece for the front. And you can see what I did here. I put them matching centers, front and shoulders. You can see the original piece sticking up here. I lowered the neckline about that much so I would get the same effect that the pattern envelope has, where the dress hits me about mid-chest level. And one other thing is the collar. The collar needs to now be lower. Here's their collar. Here's my collar. You can see my collar is lower. I basically traced their shape, but I lowered it. And I made it a little bit longer down here because it needs to go down further because I have a bigger chest. And I made the shoulders wider because my shoulders are wider than a 32 bust. So those are the sort of things that you need to do whenever you're taking a pattern that's much smaller and working with it. Here's the back collar for the original pattern. I did the same thing. I had to widen it to match. So you can see it's much wider. And I believe I lengthened mine. See how my point comes all the way down here and their point comes here? Just because I have a larger back than a size 32. So I basically copied the shape, just made small modifications on the width and the length. I actually left the length in the back the same, the V-cut and the collar, because it was low enough for me. Now because this pattern has facings that are both it's sleeveless, so here's the sleeve. It faces the sleeve, and it faces the neck, and it faces the button front all in once. This is the facing. This is facing for the front. I'll show you my facing for the front. If I lay it right up on top of here, you can see mine's longer because my waist is longer. You can see my neckline is lower. And you can see that my shoulder sleeve is much bigger. How I made this, because I'm so different than them, is I took my sloper and I basically traced out the same facing shape around my sleeves, around my neck, and around the front of my bodice. This is very easy in order to make this fit a bigger person. You just have to keep in mind that some of the collars and the necklines need to be changed to match a bigger person. And the facings too. I have a facing for my back. It actually has a dart in it because whenever you trace your facing, tracing my facing on the back, do my sleeve and my neck, well, I traced over a dart, so I needed to include that dart in my facing too. Now I can show you this is my first draft of the dress. I only have a bodice right now. Very cute. When I made it and it fit me, these are actually scraps, cotton scraps. So after I made the full dress. And you can see pictures of me wearing this on my blog. zoom out. So here's my full dress, and here's my facing on the inside. I'll turn it inside out to show you my facing. This is a very cool facing. Here's the back. Goes all the way around, faces all the sleeves, and the front. Trying to get it flipped in here. If I button a button, there we go. Comes around the front, faces the front sleeves, the front neckline, comes all the way down and faces the button, and then is secured at the waist. And in the back, it's just hand tacked in about the center back on the bottom here. And this is just edge facing, edge stitching on the edge of it to keep it from unraveling. So that's how I modified this. The skirt is my regular circle skirt, modified with a center seam. So this button's all the way down the front. I had to create a flap for my buttons. I lay this on top of my skirt. This edge is my center seam on my skirt. Cut my skirt center seam right down the middle of the pattern. I lay this on the center seam, and this is my flap. I face the skirt, turn it to the inside, and it faces the edges beautifully, and you just put buttons on the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and leave me any questions in the comments below, and happy sewing!